This is a quick video demonstrating how to rig accessory models to an existing character rig. Alright, just so let me just pull in the existing rig. So give that a moment. Alright, so there's the original model with the rig. So I'm just going to turn off a lot of the unnecessary stuff. Yep. Okay, so let's just hide that. Control H. Okay, so there we have our horse and our rig. So if we go into wireframe, we can see our rig there underneath. So I'm going to bring in, let's have a look. I'm going to bring in there we go, the accessories. Let me just go back to shaded mode, and there we go. There's the accessories. But if I press play, or just scrub through, you can see those accessories are not animating with the horse. They just staying stationary, and we want them to move with the horse. Essentially, end of the day, you can choose if you want to embed these accessories with your horse model, or if you want to delete the horse model, keep the rig, and then just save the accessories as their own. Okay, so let me just go back to the first frame. Just go to the root, and we just go to skin and go to bind pose. It's just good practice, I believe. You might be able to just scroll to the first frame. Depends on how it was put together, I believe. Alright, so there's a lot going on here. I left the original reins turned on just so we can see how far how far off our current reins are, because you can see quite how high that is. Another thing, just for optimization, you just want to combine all your geometry, so we don't need it as separate geometry. So let's just go and ungroup that, come here, ungroup that, and ungroup that, and we'll see if there's anything in this one. Yep, and ungroup that one. Okay, so ungroup that whole thing. Alright, so there's all our geometry. What we want to do is actually combine it all. So we're just going to go under the modeling. I believe it's under edit mesh, or there we go, mesh. There we go, under mesh. Just click combine. Now we've got a single entry. Our mesh is being combined. That's just good for optimization for within the game. But you've got all this history here, all these old groups. Just go edit, delete by type, and you go history. So there you've just got that. No need to freeze the transforms. Everything's at 0. Let's go to panels, perspective. Okay, so that's good for us. We can work with that now. Let's just go to window, materials, hypershade. And let's just put let's just assign that to the selection. This helps us see it a bit better. And as you can see, there's the old reins as a good reference. Alright, so to give you an example, an easy example, well, first things first, we can just see, yeah, we probably don't want to merge it all together. It depends on what you want with your game, but sometimes you want a bit more freedom. So what I will do, just go back, and what we can do is take, no, that's already combined. Alright, so we can take components that are similar and combine those. Right, so we want that separate. As you can see there, that's, oopsie, that's something we didn't want there. Okay, so it's actually quite hard to see what we're doing here, so I'm just going to reassign that shader. Alright, so yeah, let's just assign a a decent serial to that so we can actually see what we're doing. Where are we? There we go. Come on. There we go. Alright, so now we can actually see what we're selecting. So we will want that, and are we getting that? What's going on here? It's not select. There we go. No, it's selecting right through it. It's quite annoying. Let's see if we can get it this time. There we go. Mesh, combine. That's all. That's good. It's combined. Let's get this all together as one. Mesh, combine, and let's get this rear area as one. Mesh, combine. Alright, and we definitely want these as separate components. Okay. We'll adjust this rear leg armor just because it was modeled in T-pose, where this rig's bind pose is a bit more of an idle pose. So we'll just move that through before we do the rigging. Alright, so at this point we can select all the geometry, and we can go and delete the history, delete by type, history. And a good thing to do now is just name the stuff, so call it a little bit more descriptive than what I'm doing, but so that would be rear leg, that would be left. Let's copy that. Rear leg right. That would be front leg right. For that. Okay. Get your helm. Your chest. Saddle. And rear armor. Alright. We got quite a bit to work with there. So first things first, let's just get the geometry in position. And when you do that, just remember to freeze transformations. Just make your life easy. But that seems to match that one quite well. So you just go under modify, freeze transformations. As you can see there, what it did, I just undid it. You can see there, and I redo, and it puts that to 0. It's very important you do that. The real ones, the rear right leg's also quite off center, out of position. So there we go. Okay, let's get that in as neatly as we can. Quite strangely orientated, that leg. Let's go to rigging quickly. Yeah, that leg is quite strangely orientated in this current pose. Kind of makes me want to rotate that model, but I've done this prior and I didn't have to, so yeah, interesting. Did I leave something on there I was supposed to turn off? No, we want leg hair on because that's going to help us to see what clipping we need to avoid when rigging this. A bit more forward, more forward. Go to the side. Interesting. That's not playing nice. Okay, let's go a little bit more forward, and I think that would just have to do. Yep. Okay. Now, give an example. There you can see the heads, also the helm. It's modeled in a way that the idle pose, the hair is clipping through the helm. So I'm just going to bring that forward a bit. Later on when we animate this, the hair is also going to clip through this neck armor, so I'll just scale it up and adjust the vertices to avoid the clipping. And you just do that before you do the skinning. And at any stage, if you do skinning and you find it is clipping, you can, and you know you need to move the model or change the geometry, just go to skin, unbind, go to the first frame, go to the bind pose, make your changes to the model, and then redo the skinning. How skinning works is if you select your model, I'm going to go into wireframe, go to the select tool, and I'm going to select in the, with the current rig, I'm just going to select the head. And this is rather easy. If you've got your fall off set to 0, so it's going to fill this in 100%. It's not going to kind of, with skinning, white is 100% on, black is 100% off, grey is in between, and you can have fall off. I'm going to, those reins are funny enough attached to the head. I wonder if this, that's alright. So I am going to attach this to the, where were we, head, and click bind. So I'll just go here, and you'll see not much happens. Okay, but if we go to animation, all of a sudden the helmet is moving with the horse. I'm just scrubbing through. I press play, it's a little bit cleaner. Alright, so the helm is actually moving with the horse now, and that's what we want. So I'm going to go back to the first frame, just good practice, just go to skin, go to bind pose. So the helm's been done. The reason why I left the reins on is you can see the design of these reins were visual only, but if you look at the original model, the reins kind of attached to the mouth and they sit quite low, so the saddle is going to need to be adjusted, and a bit of modeling needs to be done. I'll do that before I do the bind, before I do the skinning. So just to show you what that looks like, I'm just going to go back to the helm and I'll go skin and I'll go paint skins, the weights, and if I select on the head rig, you can see it's 100% white, and you can flood it 100% white, or you can flood it 25% grey, which broke it. Oh boy. Let's just go. That's because we. Oh, that's interesting. Makes the whole thing disappear. Anyways, yeah, you can paint while you're working with the. If you're busy animating, you can see something looks a bit strange. I'll show you with the reins. You can paint different values, paint it off or on. So let's do the reins. I think it's a good example of when you need to kind of work with weight painting. So we haven't bind skin. We haven't done the skinning, the weight of that. We haven't skinned the reins. So I'm just going to go to vertice and go to wireframe and just select those two, and let's take those and that. W for move. Let's go to side view. Now we just try to line it up with the original rig, and even the model that came with the original rig from our previous work serves as a good point of reference. Let's go back to perspective, because if I have to just click and drag, I'll end up selecting the rig. See there, I just selected the rig I don't want to. I just press Q to go to select tool. You just grab that side too. Okay, I can go to side view again. W. Let's just try to get that in position. Yeah, that's definitely going to select the rig in the background. So perspective once again. I'll zoom through this really quickly if I me just get back to my vertices. Alright. No. Don't select the rig. Alright. Side view. W. Put that in place. Missed the vertice. So let's go back to perspective. And see there. I can see it from here. That guy. Just don't want to select the rig. Let's go back to side view. Move it in place. And as you can see there, we're trying to follow the curve of the original rig. You can see it's this bone here, it's ending up there. It goes up here, and then there's the handle where the rider's hands touch the reins. As you can see how far off this rig, this current model is. So eventually I would model this so it reaches, it comes down to there. I'll adjust the whole model. I won't do that now. I'll even change the saddle, because this is going to clip through the saddle eventually, so I'll remodel the saddle. I'll show you the results at the end. But yeah, let's just take this, grab these few faces over here, vertices, and I'm just going to use the scale tool and just bring them in. So I'm going to go to wireframe to see what I'm doing. Orthographic front, scale tool, and there we. Alright, just use this handle here. We just bring it in close, and you can do the same thing with those vertices and clean it up real nicely. I'm not going to spend time doing that now in just this demonstration, but just to show you. Back to perspective. Alright, so let's just say that's in the position we wanted it. We then going to bind this to multiple bones. So we're going to bind this to these bones here, the bridle bones, and we're going to bind it to, where are those? The bridle handle. So let's make sure we do that. So we get bridle, the left and right, and bridle handle, and we're going to skin it. So we've skinned it to all three. So now when we animate, it's going to be quite confused. It's either not going to move at all, or it's going to be quite confused. So it is moving with the rig now. But if we go back to the first frame, and we click on that, and we go skin and paint weights, let's see. Alright, so it's given, I'm just going to turn off the previous reins. We don't need to see that right now. Alright, let's go back here. Skin, paint weights. So the left bridle, its influence is grey on this model. The right bridle is grey, and the bridle handle is grey. We don't want that. We want to go 100% value. It's just to say the handles are going to 100% affect this area of the model. We want it to affect 100% of that. 100% of that. Okay, so you can probably already see where I'm going with this. So then, a good way of doing it is to fade. So from like 50 down to 25, and then very quickly straight to black. So I'm just going to, an example, so paint that black, paint that black. Okay. So the grey, the different shades of greys, when you start seeing it animate and you can see it's looking a bit strange, I can just turn the helm off so I can actually see what I'm doing. And the horse model. Go back to this, skin, paint weight. Alright, so now I can actually see it again. Yeah, so we definitely don't want the bridle handle affecting the front of the reins. Just paint that black. Same on that other side. Do the same for the other side. Okay, so I'm just changing the value. So 0 is black. And just make sure that the two sides match. So you can see we've gone all the way up to there. And it's good to have grey as a transitional zone. You don't want grey over the whole thing generally. So here you can see it's already told it, because previously these two were grey up here as well, but because we painted this one, it's already was smart enough to realize, okay, we don't want any grey on that, but now it's still left this grey, and we want white here. So we want the reins to be properly influenced by these bones. So let's see if we can get white there. And as you can see, that's just generally the approach you want to go when doing weight painting. When you're skinning your model, you skin it, and then sometimes you can just, like the helmet, we could just skin in one go, but other times you have to come in and do some weight painting. When something's a little bit more complex, maybe dispersed over several bones, that kind of thing. And yeah, I would probably take it white up till there, and then 50% and then 25%, but I won't do that now. Let's see what else is tricky. Yeah, I had to do the same thing here. You've got two bones that's going to influence the sort of foot hoof guard. So I had to do the same sort of transitional weight painting on that. So just make sure you're back in the first frame. Skin, okay. And then under the weight painting, I had to make sure I did it right, because if you, I'm going to turn the horse body back on, and you can see Shift H. We go to the animation. You can see it's not animating nicely. That's just because this, you can do this. That's the nice thing of sliding, scrubbing through the animation slider. You can, while you have it selected and while it's being animated, you can actually make some changes. You don't want to skin it when it's in an animated pose, but you can do some weight painting while it's in an animated pose, just so you can get better results. So the top one, see they're both grey, and we set the top one to value to white, and we just want to hit that with 100% white. Sometimes it gets a bit tricky because the vertices clip within themselves, but yeah, you get the idea. You do that with 100% white, and then you do the bottom with a bit of black, and then vice versa. Probably have to hide the horse's body, etc. So hopefully that covers the majority of weight painting and how to handle it. Yeah, what is this, a 22-minute video? Alright, so hopefully I covered the basics. I'm going to just close this one and open a recent one, I believe. Yeah, let's go for that one, don't save. And yeah, you can see one I've completed. If we go onto the reins, there we go. We go skin, paint weight. Here you can see how I transitioned it. I chopped off that top of the saddle. I brought this lower so it lined up perfectly with what we needed. I scaled up the neck armor. So now when we animate, we're still getting a bit of clipping. But sometimes in games with low geometry and basic, with a basic rig and very little physics and collision, clipping's tolerated to a certain extent. So even when we enable the horse's hair is enabled, you'll see some clipping coming through there. But once we animate it, I'm going to just deselect that. Once we just watch it in motion, most of it is pretty good. You don't really pick up too much clipping, just because this wasn't originally designed to have armor on. So we just do it as far as we can, and if the hair causes too much problem, we just hide the hair, not all the hair. Let's go back, but we would probably then just hide the mane and leave the tail on, but for now just hide both. And when it's got the helm and the neck armor on, we just hide both. But yeah, that's sort of low poly model. Sometimes you have to have these little workarounds. Yeah, So you can see there, because the reins are going to, let's go back, let's go forward. Yeah, you can see that where the reins are, where the rider sits in their hands, it was clipping right through the saddle, so the saddle had to be redesigned. I just did it on the fly, and we'll just have to update it. I'm seeing some clipping still going through the chest plate, so what I'll do then is I will go back to the original first frame. Just to be safe, I'll go to the root. I'll go to bind pose. I'm going to, something that's probably good I spotted that. So this is, if I go to skin and I say unbind skin, it's going to remove everything. And that's not so fun when you have to do it to, like, say, the reins that you were doing some weight painting on. But it's okay for this because we were just flood filling it with the single color white. What I want to do now to avoid that clipping is I'm going to just press the move tool and just move it slightly more forward. And I'm going to modify freeze transformations. And I'm going to go back to the model. I believe it was chest. Where were we? Neck, no. Head, there's mouth. Let's go to wireframe and see where are those chest bones. There they are. Scroll down. There we go. Okay, so I will just attach this to the rib bones. Go up to skin, bind skin, and it's 100%. I don't have to do any weight painting because it works perfectly as is. And it's not like the reins. And now if we scrub through, hopefully it'll be minimal clipping. There's a little bit of clipping there now, but like I said with low poly models, sometimes that's a bit accepted. You'll find that in AAA games, EA games, you name it, you'll see some clipping in their models. But I believe where we've got it at the moment probably is acceptable. And hopefully that's helpful. It's just a bit of a back and forth, just to get it exactly how you want it and get it right. But yeah, it'll look great in game, especially for a mobile platform. All right, I hope that helps. Sorry for the long video, but yeah, if it's something you guys needed help with, I'm sure you wouldn't mind. All right, take care. Bye.